everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar on Creating the Future today with AI Vision and IoT, a complete guide to creating a smart connected factory. So how's everyone's doing so far? I hope everyone's having a great day. I am Sarah Galiba, I'm from Subway, and I will be your MC for today's webinar. We are honored to have our webinar in conjunction with MDEC AI and Big Data Week 2021, bringing some great ideas to our audience today. Apart from that, we would also like to thank you AWS for their support, as well as Maxis as our sponsor for today's webinar. Since Industry 4.0 requires great connectivity, we are partnering with Maxis to provide a one-stop solution to transform your organization with AI Vision and IoT. For today's agenda, we will have a roundtable session discussion on manufacturing challenges, followed by individual presentation from AWS on AI Vision and IoT best practices, Subway on AI Vision and IoT solution for manufacturing, and SHRDC on AI Vision and IoT training programs for manufacturers. And last but not least, we will also be having question and answer sessions by the end of the webinar. Make sure to stay throughout the whole webinar as it will surely bring benefits to all of you. All right, so I would also like to cover a few housekeeping topics. Feel free to drop your questions at the chat box anytime during the presentations, as the questions will be brought up later during our question and answer sessions. Other than that, today's webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. We will also provide you with both the link and access to the video and presentation slides after the webinar. And of course, we welcome you to revisit the content anytime needed and share it with your colleague. So before I introduce our speakers, I would like to introduce our company, Subway. We leverage artificial intelligence technologies and connected sensors to capture data in physical locations in order to help businesses to streamline and automate operations, improve experience, and enhance safety and security. So we started from 2014 and we have over 3,000 sensors and cameras that have been deployed across all industry and is continuously striving to eliminate low-skilled labor and transform the world's economy to higher-skilled workforce. Our mission is to develop AI vision automation solutions that far surpass manual labor quality, consistency, and also output, and to democratize AI vision by allowing anyone to build, train, and deploy AI vision in days. Our core competencies are IoT, AI vision, cloud, and also big data. All right, so before we begin our roundtable sessions, allow me to introduce our honorable speakers for today. Introducing our first speaker, Jihao Lim. Jihao is the CEO and founder of Subway. He is responsible for the overall management of Subway, while also leads the company's technical roadmap planning and execution. Moving on for our next speaker, someone that has experience in working for high-tech industries for more than 20 years, as well as helping customers across North America, Australia, and Asia. Introducing Principal PDS IoT APJ from AWS, Punit Pugra. Punit fosters innovations by the strategic and practical application of emerging technologies, solving complex business challenges. Last but not least, Dr. Chua Wan Sham, the head of Malaysian Smart Factory 4.0 from Selangor Human Resource Development Center. His expertise lies mainly in the area of control and automation system, fault detection and identification, and also predictive maintenance strategies, which are widely used in Industry 4.0 application. So without further ado, let's start our roundtables discussion. So much has been said about Industry 4.0 and how it has revolutionized the manufacturing world by providing manufacturers with opportunities to utilize advanced tools and technologies throughout the product lifecycle. But there are still many manufacturers who have advanced monitor equipment. There are still many manufacturers who have difficulty managing industrial equipment data. So the main problem is that they do not have advanced monitor equipment that allows them to estimate and identify equipment maintenance issue. So I would like to ask to Punit, what is your comment or other alternatives on this matter.
Thanks, Sarah, and thanks to Tapway for arranging this session. Glad to be here. I hope my sound is good, audible, clear. Thank you very much. So hi, everyone. I think that's a great question, Sarah. I come across this quite often. In fact, I was on a discussion yesterday where also a similar question was raised. Many of the manufacturing agencies or manufacturing customers who have been running complex operations for years, they have so much of data, but are trying to find mechanisms to monitor that data, find the best way to define business insights from that. And more importantly, how does these insights define their business processes, business challenges, and how to go about it? So I prefer to take some live example to share and then see how it is relevant and resonates with this. So I'll talk about one of our customers, Coke, which is, we all know Coca-Cola across the world. They've got various bottling plants across, and one of them is Coca-Cola Isaac. It's based out of Europe. They supply to almost 10 countries, about 400 million customers. They reached out to us, and together we came out with the thought to build a digital twin where we can find out their data, how much the data is, where the data is, kind of bring to a centralized location, and then help them deduce facts and insights that can help not only just monitor their equipment, but also give them insights about things that they can optimize, things where they can reduce their spend, and so on. As a result of it, we picked up one process in their manufacturing, which is called in-clean or clean-in-place process. Basically, they clean their equipment at a regular interval so that when they change the recipe or they bring something new, it needs to be cleaned to maintain the high quality product that they offer to the market. And when we looked at that data, we figured out they were using material to clean and flush that equipment more than what was required. After a certain point of time, no matter how much you flush, it's not going to make any change. So when we dissected the data, we brought it into the cloud and helped them derive into those facts. It was evident they could save a lot of money on those areas by reducing that process time frame, which essentially means they still get the same good quality product. They still follow the same processes. They're not compromising on anything, but more importantly, they're saving almost 20% on their energy spend and also 9% on the water. So look at this. They're not only optimizing their process, they're saving money, but they're also moving into sustainable practices to reduce consumption of natural utilities and water, electricity, and so on and so forth. So that's my take on it, right? There's so much of data with the manufacturing organization. We, together with Tapway, can help you bring that to the cloud, transform that into a unified data model so that you can start seeing facts that are not visible in silos. And second, we can build business application on top of that to kind of bring those insights, which will help you define your business. More importantly, optimize your spend and reduce your outflow of the money on building those products. Back to you, Sarah.
All right, thank you, Puneet. So we may heard that by using data we can also improve a lot of processes and eventually also reduce in our costs, right? So moving on, since we're talking about improving processes, I would like to ask Jihao. So the ultimate goal of artificial intelligence is, of course, to make processes more effective, not by replacing people, but by filling in the holes in the people's skills. What is your opinion on this matter?
Yeah, so this is something that really holds true to my heart in our vision and mission of the company. As you already heard just now, our vision is really to help transform the world's economy, especially manufacturing, to a higher skilled workforce. And what we do is really to develop AI vision automation solutions that can far exceed manual labels, quality and outputs. So, really it's all about, helping to eliminate low skilled labor, because that's the kind of labor that can be freed up and trained, especially with Dr. Chua here, to do higher skilled work, right? And that's also aligned with our, if you're talking about the context of Malaysia, so I'm sure there may be some people outside of Malaysia, but in the context of Malaysia, we have our 5-year plan and the RMK, and it does mandate that we increase high skilled worker from currently 18% to 35%. So that is really aligned with the mission, and of course with COVID, we need to reduce number of workers and avoid crowded factory floors. So to be able to reduce certain workforce by automating with our solutions or with even other solutions, right? That is the key to also reduce reliance on foreign labor, which is one of the biggest issues right now facing manufacturing.
Okay, great. Talking about low-skilled foreign workers, I would like to ask also Dr. Chua. So the 12 MP report revealed that at the end of 2020, registered foreign workers in the country numbered 1.48 million, or 9.9% of the total workforce in our country. Has this dependency on low-skilled foreign workers become a challenge in making Malaysia progress? Has this become a challenge in making Malaysia progressive than any other countries?
All right. Thank you very much, Sarah, for the question. I think for many manufacturing industries that have been running for a very long time, there has been a lot of dependency on manual manpower and labor to actually support their current manufacturing processes. But I think it's also it's a cultural wide kind of awareness in terms of the adoption of Industry 4.0 and technologies to actually support their business operations. So for example, if the company could see real value, real impact in having higher skilled workforce in their factories to really drive and accelerate adoption of technology, I believe that the dependency will actually reduce, and there will be actually a shift towards actually utilizing technology to support decision making, and also to reduce dependency on lower skilled workforce, and now shift the focus to having more data-driven, higher skilled workforce to drive technology innovation and business productivity for the company.
Okay, thank you so much for the insightful as well. So I would also want to ask, to put it again, on your opinion, how are key manufacturing functions such as quality control, quality check, discard management leveraging the power of connected operations helping customers?
Sure, Sarah, that sounds like a great question. It's quite evident, people have been running their processes for ages. They've defined that over a period of time, and bringing certain big change will be a very big disruption. So what I'm generally hearing from customer when I go to them, number one, quality control, defect control, quality check is one of the important area, because that's hitting their bottom line. Right, that's there's a good saying that Jeff used to use, Jeff Bezos, and used to suggest, $1 will cost you to save an error if you catch while making the product, but it'll translate to $1,000 when you catch when it's at customer place, right? So I look at that in the same way, that if you can bring a solution, a way of a process to do a quality check, which is non-intrusive, then it can help them not only catch the defect early in the game, but also save on material discardation, finding the defect when it has customer location, saving after sales, market warranty, and those kind of expenses, right? So my take and this is what I'm hearing, any kind of manufacturer, whether it's a batch, discrete, process, and more importantly, people who are building bulk and products in volumes, they are looking for these non-intrusive mechanisms to do. Computer vision serves that purpose more effective than any other technology that I've seen. For example, putting a camera, getting the detection done, whether a product is being packaged well by sending out in the right way or not, or finding a defect on a fabric, or finding a defect, if the welding has been done properly or not. These are very, very small things, but it makes a huge difference in what the ultimate product will look like. So more and more conversation I do around product quality check or quality control, I think computer vision is becoming a very inherited part of those conversations. So that's my take on it, based on the customer engagements that I'm looking at right now.
All right, speaking of quality control, I would like to ask Chi Hao on your opinion on, like, does AI vision have a major impact in quality assurance and error detection in the manufacturing industry?
Yeah, so Sarah, this is a good question because machine vision is not new, right? Machine vision has been around for a long time, and machine vision has certain ceiling limitations in terms of technology when it comes to doing more complex defect detections and stuff like that. So that's really hindering a lot of manufacturers from being able to automate the whole quality inspection process. So if you go, maybe the audience here today, if you ask around for all the manufacturers, a lot of them are still doing this manually. So what happens is that there's always a couple of things, right? Number one, you have human error. And that's really due to sometimes fatigue or distraction, especially with the world of smartphones these days. It's really easy to get distracted. And then there's also the problem where, the output, right? Because we can only process at a certain speed. But machines can process a lot faster. So all in all, you'll get improved quality inspection output because you can do a lot more, and machines don't get tired. So you also have reduction in human errors, basically resulting in reduction of defects, basically. So this will have a major impact because not only you are able to save in terms of workforce, you can now upgrade the workforce to do higher skilled work, for example, monitoring our machines or monitoring other higher functioning work, for example, dashboard, finding insights about quality issues. And then number three, you are able to really reduce in defects and improve the quality of your outputs to the market. Yeah.
All right. I would like to ask Chi Hao again, right? We have talked about AI vision, but how about IoT? Like, how can IoT solution contribute to industry and also contribute to predictive maintenance? And will it help to increase production output in the factories?
Yeah, so I think that's a common question from a lot of manufacturers is, hey, we want to go straight to predictive maintenance. How do we do that? The real key to having good predictive data or analytics starts with having accurate real-time machine data. And that's exactly the main challenge that manufacturers are currently facing. And the problem is they can't get accurate real-time machine data. So I don't think it's wise to jump directly to do predictive maintenance without solving the fundamental issue of getting that machine data. And I think later we will maybe show you a bit more about how we do that, how we can pave the way for you to have predictive maintenance done with the ease of the platform that we have built with AWS together.
All right, so moving on, I would like to brought up the topic of our workforce again, right? So the need to hold on to skillful employees that join the industry is growing. This makes onboarding one of the rising issues of training and also development in manufacturing here in Malaysia. So Dr. Chua, what is your comment regarding this?
Sure, thank you, Sarah. That's a good question. So in terms of holding on or retaining skilled workers or skilled employees, to join the industry, right? This has been a rising question from many industries, especially the smaller, medium enterprises, right? How do we retain the workforce? How do we actually ensure that they continue to support technology integrations in our factory, right? So one of the key areas on how we support industries in that area is basically to ensure that the workforce should have continuous professional development within the factories, right? So that's where training and talent development comes in, right? Technologies these days change very fast, right, very rapidly, right? And it's really important that the companies actually allocate time for their employees to actually go and learn something new, right? That would actually enhance and provide better impact and productivity for their factory. And when people start working on improvement projects, development projects, they start to feel more motivated. They start to feel the drive to actually create something new. They feel that they belong to the company, and that's where this really will ensure that people will actually be staying in the companies. And when I actually was part of an MNC, right, there were a lot of my colleagues or peers before that, they mentioned that, well, I can actually see myself retiring in this company, right? So this shows that with the right motivation, with the right continuous professional development in the company, it helps to retain skilled workforce for the future.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chua. Due to the limitation of time, we'll have to end the roundtable session. So thank you to the speakers for the informative discussion. So I hope everyone can benefit from what has been shared as well. And before we continue to the next section, we would like to have a minute of your time to answer the poll. So what are the most pressing issues you are facing in your company now? All right, while everyone's answering the poll, we can continue to first speaker, which is Punit. Punit here is going to share AWS case study and best practices in manufacturing. So I hand the floor over to you, Punit.
Sure, thank you. Can you bring up the slides, please? And discuss, yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. So hi, everyone. Again, my name is Puneet Bugra. I'm going to be talking about how machines talk to us. They're trying to tell us a lot of things. It's up to us whether we listen, we don't listen, we take the cue, and we start working in advance so that we can reduce our downtimes, we can reduce our product quality defects, and so on and so forth. I'm the principal partner leader, also manage the industrial solutions across APJ, focusing on industrial IoT. Here's my LinkedIn handle. So if you want to connect with me offline, send me an email, happy to address. Next slide. Next slide, Sarah. Thank you. So in this slide, I'm not trying to complicate the process. All I'm trying to tell is one simple message. When you look at manufacturing, manufacturing is not about building a product. It's about taking the product life cycle as a journey, where you start from marketing, sales, take the feedback from the market, give it to engineering, they start designing the product, then go to operations where you actually build it, look at your supply chain, inward logistics, outward logistics, inventory management, and then it goes to service chain, business operations, where you look at all other aspects of how the operations is performing and so on and so forth. But the key message of this slide is you cannot run your operations in silos. You need to connect all of these departments together to think in single direction so that you can deliver the best business outcomes, the best products, the best customer experience. And to be able to do that, you need to bring data from all corners of these departments into one location so that you can do due diligence, you can derive data insights, you can make sense out of that data that can help you do or take business decisions that'll drive how your future looks like, how your product will look like. Next slide. So a lot of people have asked me this question, why AWS for manufacturing? We are an IT company. We sell cloud services. We offer capabilities that help deliver functionalities from the IT piece of it. But not many people know that AWS was born from a very complex automation and factory operation at Amazon. Now, what it means is, if you ever get a chance to come to an Amazon fulfillment center, please do so. You will learn an enormous amount of automation that has been done over there. If you walk into a fulfillment center of Amazon, you will feel like you're actually into a huge, complex factory, which is running on machines. Everybody's doing things in an automated fashion. In fact, robots, computer vision, you'll see all those technologies over there. And AWS was born out of that. So that's why we bring that pedigree, that insights, that lessons that we have built over a period of time with Amazon, and then we are offering some of those to our customers. Second, we offer most comprehensive advanced set of cloud services and features that are available today, which gives you flexibility to build products, take advantage of our innovation at a pace that suits to your business, whether it's your computer vision, whether it's your data insights, whether it's data acquisition, all that come together, connecting a PLC or connecting a historian data, all that can be addressed by the services that we offer. The third area where a lot of people ask me questions is about security. So let me be upfront about it. We take security very seriously. Customers take advantage of security design from most sensitive organizations across the world. What it means is, when we're building the product, the first thing we start thinking is security. So it's embedded right at the bottom of the building product building effort or the service building effort. And then last but not the least, given some of the customers have cross-boundary factories, cross-city factories, so they need a massive global scale, which helps them reduce the risk of, one, loss of data, loss of operations, more importantly, loss of visualization, or loss of understanding what's happening on the factory. So by engaging with AWS, you get all of those capabilities in one shot. Next slide, Sarah. Thank you. And just to sum it up, this is the kind of challenge we were built for. 25 years, Amazon has been building products, manufacturing smart products, distributing billions of items across the global network. It's just one glimpse of you're seeing a factory line or a fulfillment center line in the picture, but we've got so many PLCs and machines working. It's amazing. Amazing to look at when you walk in there. We also employ a lot of cutting edge automation, IoT, machine learning, AI, robotics kind of technologies with cloud at its core, which means some of these services have already been adopted by Amazon, and we are offering in the market as well. Last but not the least, we continuously transform to drive customer experience, whether it's cashless, whether it's convenience, day one shipping, net zero carbon shipping. So if you look at the holistic picture where manufacturing, supply chain management comes into picture, we are looking at adopting cloud at the core, offering all these capabilities and bringing the exposure and experience that we built together with Amazon. Next slide. I'm going to quickly go through some of the use cases. I'm not going to spend all, but some that are close to my heart. So product process optimization, I gave you an example with the Coke. Preventive predictive maintenance, I think Chi House spoke about, but it's getting to an advanced stage where you've got the data, you've broken the silos, you've liberated the data, now you've connected it, and you can start making analysis out of it, employing AI/ML on top of it, machine learning, and derived sense that can tell you ahead of the game and help you predict the downtimes or avoid those downtimes. Machine as a service and digital twin. With computer vision, three core areas which are very close, and I personally love them simply because it's doing things that never has been done in the past, and it's helping people and business owners to transform their business model. For example, some of the machine manufacturers who are talking to us are talking, can we go and sell our machine to a manufacturer such as yourself and does not charge you millions of dollars upfront? Instead, can we ask them to pay us per hour worth of yield or uptime or products manufactured? Same way, digital twin help you do simulations to come up front of how your machine's going to perform if you make changes, so that you don't have to run in the downtime. In fact, your change process becomes so seamless that you have foreseen all the scenarios ahead of the game. And then computer vision for quality, like I said earlier, it's non-intrusive, it's going quickly in, helping customers derive or find out defects and reducing that. Then again, automated material management, track and trace, OEE visualization. These are other common use cases that we are seeing in the market as well. Next slide. These are top use cases that are coming to us that are being asked by our customers. Improved asset efficiency, whether it's optimizing the capacity, looking at asset utilization, change over time, reducing the downtime, or improving the quality. Like I was talking earlier, scrap rates, material discardation, yield, lead times, all that insights coming up from a data insights perspective, reducing the cost. Whether it's productivity, whether it's maintenance costs, warranty costs, how can we help you reduce? And then last but not the least is improve safety and sustainability. So there are a lot of workplace related accidents that are happening. How computer vision can help you reduce that? How can we help you reduce your utility cost, make it more sustainable operations so that you can effectively deliver the product remaining within the regulatory foundations of the government as well. In a nutshell, if you look at efficiency, quality, you can combine them into what most important factor known as overall equipment effectiveness. Next slide. I'm going to spend just next 1 minute on this to take you through another example where Valmet, one of the manufacturing companies that manufacture machines, which you guys consume, and they're into making machines for paper, pulp business. They came to us and said that we produce a very complex equipment with multiple dependent processes running in parallel. Our customer, as in Valmet's customer, need more insight to the process. Can we help them to reduce the downtime and control the quality? We kind of work together to build a digital twin capability, allowing paper mill operators to view equipment and process data more granular and more in near real time. That gave them the ability to save a lot of dollars because they were able to predict quality. They were able to bring agility into taking decisions faster or make changes to the trade spend analysis. But last but not the least, they save about $1 million in about software, hardware, and maintenance over a 5-year period of time. In essentially, the telemetry of the machine was able to give a lot of insight to their customers. Next slide. Perfect. So I think with that, I'd like to thank you all for listening, and I hope that this was helpful. Happy to address any queries. I'm going to be sticking around. If you have any questions, please put it on the Q&A. We'll address, and I'll hand over to Chiha to take us through his part of the slides now.
All right. Thanks a lot, Puneet, for the great presentation. And again, I'm seeing some questions there in the Q&A chat. Keep them coming, and we will address that either with a reply or later during our Q&A session. So next slide, Hannah. So I'll just tell you a little bit about what we do. So Tapway Vision Track is essentially an end-to-end visual inspection platform. And what we do is to help accelerate customized object detection and image classification model. So it's a handful, but really what it does is what you see on the left-hand side, whether to detect things like bottle caps and to find out whether there's a defect on the bottle caps, for example, a crack, or to inspect paint quality by using cameras instead of having humans to do that. That's exactly what we do with Vision Track. And if you pair it with robotics, you can really eliminate manual low-skilled labor while achieving higher efficiency. Next. So I think I've alluded just now to the challenges that we face, especially in Malaysia. Malaysia right now has a mandate for foreign labor to reduce 20% by end of next year. So that's really coming up. And apparently there are still quite some manufacturers out there where the ratio is flipped. So, that's a really huge uphill battle that we have to face. And of course, we talk about human errors just now, and we also talk about the RMK, the Malaysia plan to increase high skilled worker from 18% to 35%. Next. So how it works is pretty simple, really. In terms of AI vision, how it works is like a baby learning new things, right? So if you feed them the shape of a bottle, they'll start learning from various examples of a bottle. So now, if it's not a plastic bottle, it's a metallic bottle, would they also think that it's a bottle? maybe the baby will say no, but once you tell him or her that yes, it is also a bottle, they'll start learning variations of a bottle. And this is really important, what I mentioned here, because that's exactly how you are able to tackle very complex defect issues, where a crack may not look like a straight line. It may be Y shape, it may be Z shape, S shape. So that's lots of different shapes of crack that you have to learn. And that's where AI comes in. And how we do it is to really capture images of various parts, various defects, or various classification, send that to AWS Cloud. We have a platform to label the training data easily with very little samples. So you can start with as small as 10 samples all the way to 50 samples. And you don't need to have thousands of samples like how it's done in the past. And then thirdly, you can then just do a one-click to build, train, and tune the model. So everything will be happening in the background. Once the model is trained, you can select a machine where you want to deploy to. So we give you a list of AI servers that you can actually deploy to the edge to your factory. And once that's done, it's ready to go. Next. And how it works in real time. So once you deploy to the production line, I suppose in order to automate the process, you've got to have like a conveying system or some sort of automation system, right? So you have the products coming through the line, and then you have cameras deploy at specific locations, angles, and views to capture all parts of the product. And these cameras will be linked to our AI brain. So we have an edge AI server where it's built in with the model, and it will do this prediction in real time. So we'll predict that maybe bottle A is fine, bottle B, nope, that's a crack. So once that's done, we will send a command to a robotic arm or a pneumatic puncher, whatever there is, mechanism there is to segregate the defected part away. So that's essentially to emulate or to copy what humans are currently doing right now in the QC process. Next. So again, what are the features that are best suited for AI vision? Really, number one is complex cosmetic inspection problems or segmentation problems. So dents, scratches, to segment certain products that are very similar. The second part, texture and material classification. So if you have, let's say, a matte metallic piece versus a glossy one, how do you draw the line, and how do you know whether one is matte and one is glossy? OCR is also a big challenge. OCR can be done with traditional computer vision, but there are challenging ones. For example, what we have done on container with corrugated shape, right? Where the text is kind of angled or skewed. That's where AI is really suitable. And of course, when you don't have a specific location, it can happen everywhere. That's variable feature location detection. That's going to be hard for traditional methods to tackle as well. Next. So yeah, just a little comparison, right? Why AI vision and why Tapway, right? Of course, we talk about human inspector side, so we won't go too much into the detail. But compared to traditional vision, so many of you may not know what traditional vision is. Traditional vision, it's literally manipulating like camera pixels, right? So if you want to measure distance, you will use traditional vision to do, or measure your product size, measure thickness. That's very good with vision. But when it comes to more complex problem that I just mentioned, that's where you need AI, and most of the quality inspection cases are not straightforward, right? So and also it's also easier to set up. There's not a lot of calibration you need to do. You don't need to place your product exactly where it should be. You can really have a lot of variations in your setup and make it easier and less constrained, basically. Yeah. Next. So yeah, in terms of deliverable, I already mentioned, these are some of the statistics from the industry, but really you can get improvement in quality inspection output, you can get reduction in defects, and you can get a huge reduction in QC workforce once you are able to automate it. So really the QC workforce will be managing the machines, maintaining the AI system, and to really look into insights from the data that we have collected. Next. So maybe, yeah, some demo videos. This is a video, if you can play it. All right, maybe it's not coming up. Next. Can we go to the next slide? I think it's fine. I can show it from my side later. So yeah, I think yeah, the next slide. So I'll show you the beverage sort of video later, because that's an interesting use case. But yeah, we can also do very complex things like for this is for palm oil bunch to really know whether it's fully stripped or not stripped. And you know, sometimes it's a spectrum, right? And that's what makes it so difficult. What if it is not 0 or 1? What if it's 0.3, 0.5? How do you draw the line? And this is really where AI comes in, right? So you can see examples of the red box where they are all empty. So all the fruitlets from the bunch is extracted. But there are some examples that you see, it's not exactly full of fruitlets, but there are still some in there, right? So that's really where we can train a model to accurately predict whether a bunch is a not yet stripped. So they can segregate them out and put it back into the process. And fruitlets means money in the palm oil industry. Next. And this is a container example that I mentioned. It's really not an easy shape to deal with. It's normally small and the placement can be anywhere on the back of the container, side of the container. And we have basically a way to accurately predict what that container code is and to comply with the standard given by the container industry. Next. And there are some other examples as well. Next. Yep, so there's also some other example. Again, this video loads, but yeah, so this is on rotating parts. So this is to illustrate why machines can do it better than humans, because sometimes this is already a slowed down video. It can be rotating at 10 FPS, 10 rotations per second or per minute or things like that. So yeah, you need to have high-speed camera, and you can see that we can detect the defect from all different angles and lighting that you can see from this video here. Next. So I'll talk a little bit about Connector Factory because it's linked to our AI vision solution. Really, Connector Factory is a platform to get data, machine data in real time and to visualize it in a dashboard and to have predictive maintenance analytics. Next. So challenges are simple. As I've mentioned, currently a lot of the manufacturers have a lot of different machines from different brands, and they are not talking the same language, and they are not collecting data in real time as well. And so they can't really accurately predict what the 6 big losses are. They don't have a very detailed analysis on how much of, let's say, production rejects they have, or unplanned planned stops and small stops and things like that. So the ability to monitor equipment and machine performance in real time, that's the biggest challenge. Next. So how it works is pretty simple. So we have, again, similar to Vision Track, we have an edge gateway, and you can really use the same device to connect to different machines. And how we do that is by using a certain standard protocol. And we have also a middleware that can connect to up to 200 types of different brands and machines out there, and PLC basically. Once that is done, the data will be collected and sent to the cloud where you can see a dashboard. Next. Yeah, so the methodology is pretty simple, right? First is to help to connect to the machines. And if, let's say, we can't get data from a machine, then you will need to introduce secondary sensors. And after that, you need to enrich it with certain, let's say, MES data or some other ERP data. And once you have all this data in the cloud, that's where you can start design KPIs. These are KPIs that management should be looking very closely, week in and week out, or even daily basis, and to run big losses analysis. And once you have the data and analysis, you can start building predictive models. And building predictive models is as simple as it gets, because AWS has certain services where it can already do that on the fly without your team having any ML engineers or any computer engineers. So once that's done, you can optimize the process with the insights that you get, fix the root causes, and the whole cycle goes again and again. And of course, to add automation in the process so that you don't have to do that process again and to do it just one time. So next. So yeah, deliverables are pretty straightforward. Of course, once you know your OEE, again, OEE stands for overall equipment effectiveness, you will be able to reduce downtime. You will be able to, again, tie to the quality portion, reduce in defects, because once you know the defects and what are the categories of defects you get from the vision track system, you can go back to the machines and find out how you can reduce the defects. Is it a process issue? Is it a machine issue? So there are various ways to look at it. And of course, you can improve cycle time, right? How do you improve more or increase your production output? And finally, even by tapping into certain energy data or utility data, you'll be able to reduce your energy use. So yeah, I think that's basically it. Actually, I have a short demo, but I think I can probably leave it for later. So I will pass it back to Sarah.
All right, thank you, Chihao. So before we move on to Dr. Chua's presentation, we would like to know, we would like your help for like a minute to answer the poll questions. Like, what are your quality inspections, expansions challenges currently? All right, well, answering the poll as well, we can also proceed with Dr. Chua's presentations regarding manufacturing training programs. We hand the floor over to you, Dr. Chua.
Hi, all right. Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you very much, Chihao and Puni, for the great presentation. And I think that you know, with the technologies growing, right, very rapidly, it's always important for us, right, to also grow together with the technologies, right, and that's where our role at the Malaysian Smart Factory 4.0 at the Selangor Human Resource Development Center looks at, which is really in terms of supporting the industries to actually transform digitally through talent development initiatives at the Malaysian Smart Factory. Right, next slide, please. So as many of us would probably have seen this chart before, you know, the journey of industrial revolutions. So right now we are at Industry 4.0. Now, I get a lot of comments about, you know, Industry 4.0, and a lot of them talk about automation. Right now, if we look at this chart over here, automation or automated production is not really on the Industry 4.0 side. It should be at 3.0. Now, Industry 4.0 really talks about a connected factory, right? Machines talking to each other, as what Punit has shared earlier, right? And also, how do you implement intelligence to your production systems, right? And that is through, you know, technologies such as Tapway, you know, AI technologies that really help to support, you know, decision-making processes and help to improve productivity and reduce wastages. Next. So if you look at this particular pyramid over here, why is it so important for us to get data, right? Because data actually provides information, right? It then generates knowledge, and then eventually you get to, you know, have more wisdom towards what you want to improve in your manufacturing processes. So, you know, it's not gut feeling anymore, right? Or it's not a guessing game, you know, when it comes to you know, improving your production systems. So with data, you can actually see, you can actually visualize the gaps in more granularity, and that actually helps you to then plan better for the future. Next. So, you know, with a lot of data on a day-to-day basis, what happens is that you actually save time, right, in any of the processes that you make, right? Because you're able to understand when something happens, right, and take actions more effectively, right? Because the only factor that is constant in a day is your time, right? Every one of us have 24 hours in a day. Some of us, work 12-hour shift, 8-hour shift, but essentially your time, at the production is always fixed, right? So the only way to actually support, to make it more productive is to minimize all these unproductive time and time delays and wastages, and to improve your productivity. Next slide. So one of the key problem statements or challenges that I have gathered from many industry people that I have spoken to, right? We run a lot of training programs that support the industries, in terms of understanding the technology, building a proper, digital transformation culture and roadmap, right? One of the key challenges, right, that is always shared by industry is not so much of cash flow, right? But it's actually to do with technology know-how and also the right skilled workforce for their factory, right? And these are very, very important things to take note of, because many of the industries, when they actually start their journey, they are actually not sure where to start. They are not sure how it will scale. They are not sure what kind of impact it will provide. So technology know-how and talent is very, very important. So next slide, please. So then we talk about the so then we talk about how do we integrate technologies through a smart factory concept, right? So we talk about 3 key areas: operational technology, information system technology, and then the digital factory. So these are areas that you need to have the skilled people, in these areas to be able to help you to scale up your factory. So it's not just IIoT, but you need to go further, right, into this transformation, so that you know how to actually create a more productive manufacturing environment. Next. So we then break it down into building blocks of technology, right? Because many companies like they want to start their AI, or they want to go into predictive maintenance, for example, right? And what was shared by previous speakers is that without data, there's not much that you can really do, right? So that's why we break it down into levels of technology, right? And it all starts with data collection first, right? Then you slowly go step by step, or a more bite-sized approach. And these are the skills and competencies that your team needs to know, right? Even at surface level, or even a more deeper technological level, right? Next slide, please. So by having a more people-first strategy, right? I always talk about people-first strategy. Why? Because, we have heard many manufacturing industries that, they say, okay, I want to digitize, I want to, make things faster, make it more productive, but the people are not involved in the process. So when people are not involved in the process, you may not see adoption move very fast, right? It may actually take a bit of a slower pace as compared to having a more people-focused strategy to actually help you to scale up further. Next. Cool. Next slide. Yeah, so when you start your digital transformation journey from the people concept, right, you always see it as a Kaizen approach, or what we call as continuous improvement. So you may not need to start so big sometimes. You may start small, but get the people involved, right? And once they know the technology, I would say that your digital adoption will be very, very fast moving forward. Next. So, at SHRDC and the Malaysian Smart Factory, what we do is we run talent development programs, right? For many of the industries. The programs are designed to give you, number one, a technical overview, right, of the enabling technologies. That's number one. Number two is that if you really are keen and want to know more about how the technologies actually work, we have technical programs for you, right? So that you know, okay, how machines talk to each other, right? How do machines connect to each other? How does AI actually work, right? I think there's a lot of questions in the Q&A on how AI actually is accurate or how it works. So these are areas that we can support you to scale up further. So we have programs from the data automation side. Next slide, please. And we also have, programs from the system integration side if you are keen to actually explore. Right. Next slide. So, from understanding the levels of technology and by going through the programs that we run, you're able to see how technologies are integrated, in a shop floor, from the shop floor level all the way to the data analytics level, from level 1 to level 5. Right, next. So, we run a lot of programs, sharing sessions and webinars on our sites. So, if you want to find out more about how we can support your learning journey, right, and technology know how to improve it, right, do get in touch with us in these following links over here. Next. Right, we have a Malaysian smart factory setup, a model factory right here in Shah Alam, Selangor. So if you're around, do drop by and visit. Now we can actually run physical visits, right? But if you want to actually see the virtual tour, do have a look at the virtual tour as well, right? Next, and my last slide, I believe. All right. Oh, okay. Thank you very much, everybody. And open for any Q&A. I'll pass back to Sarah then. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Chua. So before our question and answer session as well, I would like you to help us answer on how would you describe your level of understanding on Industry 4.0 and Smart Factory? So we'll be launching the poll. All right. All right, so while answering as well, we can move on to the next slide, Hannah. Okay, so before we start our question and answer sessions, as a token of appreciation to everyone who have spent their time with us today, we would like to offer a discount voucher worth of 38,888 ringgit Malaysia. So this voucher is claimable for Vision Track or Asset Track Connected Factory implementation and inclusive of 2 packs of 2 SHRDC training programs, which are 1, data generation, and 2, machine data logging and visualization for Smart Factory, or data formulation overall equipment effectiveness. So after applying this voucher, you'll get to implement Vision Track starting from 70,000 ringgit or Asset Track Connected Factory for 10,000 ringgit per machine with a minimum of 15 machines. So the voucher is limited and only valid until December 2021. So to grab yours, make sure to scan the QR code that you've seen in this presentation, and then it's a survey link, and after you have submitted, we're gonna send over to you this voucher. So moving on, we come to our question and answer session. So yeah, I open the floor to anyone who have any questions for our speakers. Also, this QR code is the same QR code as previous as well. Please, if you can spend a bit of your time, do provide us with your feedback. So let's check our question and answer session box. All right, we do have this from anonymous attendees. Is it logical for small production line to implement AI and IoT in its business? So
yeah, so I think
I
can help to answer. Maybe Puneet also can answer. I think with the platform that we have now, which is really pay per use, it's not gonna be a really high barrier of cost or minimum cost that you need to pay to get started. So even for a small manufacturer, it is not a problem in terms of cost, right? Is it logical? It depends on various business pain points that you have. So let's say if you have, if you do not know about your OEE, I would suggest that you get started with finding out what your OEE is. And number 2 is, let's say if you find certain problems where you need to improve certain parts of your process, then yeah, you have to jump on it depending on the ROI, right? Because everything is coming back to ROI. Would it make sense financially and also in terms of saving costs and improving outputs to invest in solutions like this? and what sort of ROI period or payback period that you'll be looking at. So I would say that, yeah, we have done also projects with smaller SMEs. It is not a problem, and there's always quite a couple of use cases or business cases for small and medium enterprises. Puneet?
Yeah, I would just like to add one more thing, and I think you did touch upon that, Chihao. So by the virtue of cloud and adopting and building solution on a cloud, we've taken away that monolithic application mode away, which requires heavy lifting of building capex, millions of dollars of investment before you could start seeing something, procuring of hardware, building the data center, and so on and so forth. But because now cloud empowers partner like Tapway to go and build solutions faster, which also helps customer adopt small. And that's why I always say, start small, scale fast. So you could, by investing as little as, I think I heard about 70,000 ringgit, Sarah just said, you could start seeing your solution out of which they're offering in voucher as well. So it's not really about how small or big you are, it's about what it does for you. And if a solution like this can help you get more insight so that you can make better decisions to expand your business, I think it's worth looking for it. So the cost is not an issue anymore, number one. Number two, let's look at what the business outcome you want from the solution, and then let us advise you whether it makes sense or not. Maybe if you reach out to us offline, either me, Chihao, or whoever you think you can reach out, we can definitely dive deeper and respond back.
All right, I hope that answers your questions. Moving on to our next question from Dr. Boy. This is for Dr. Chua. Is all your program set for Selangor manufacturers or open to other states as well?
Oh, okay, that's a very good question. Our programs are open to other states as well. It's not just for Selangor manufacturers. In fact, we have actually already been running what we call as our remote training facility, right? Which is actually we have trained over 100 people, 31 companies in this space. And with remote training capabilities, it can actually be cross-border, nationwide. And in fact, we can actually go global with our remote training facility, right? So definitely it can expand beyond Selangor, so no problem at all.
All right. Okay. Now, moving on to our next questions. Will the adoption of IoT allow unskilled workers to upskill, or will the learning curve be too steep for them to learn? This is for Dr. Chua. You would want to answer this?
Sure, great. Thank you very much for the question. Actually, with technology moving very quickly nowadays, right? Actually, there are a lot of tools out there that are able to actually help employees to upskill faster, right? Which is, through visual-based programming, drag and drops. So basically, we have skilled up many of the current employees that have been working in the industry for 15 to 20 years, very experienced people. They were able to pick up IoT, right, very, very easily. And they were actually able to understand those relevant technologies easily as well, and can see some very, very good, use cases. So I would say the learning curve is not steep. We actually make it easier for you to learn, right? That's why our training programs are designed that way. So if you want to find out more, you can always get in touch with us. I'll show you how easy it is to get started in IoT.
All right, great. I hope that answers your questions. So moving on to the next questions, to the panel members, what are some real-life challenges you've experienced in using AI vision technology for quality control in manufacturing, and what common approaches were taken to overcome them? I believe, Chihao, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, definitely. This is a great question, because I'm sure many of you have experienced issues on the manufacturing floor when it comes to using machine vision, and that's exactly why AI vision is used, right? So of course, number one is the image quality, right? How do you get the right image quality for you to do quality, your quality automation, right? Normally, you will need to have certain lighting, controlled lighting, and that's very important. And oftentimes, we see projects fail because people are just going for camera without thinking about the environment at large, right? Secondly, how do you position the product, right? Because sometimes, for example, the bottle case that I told you guys about, it's a round object, right? So you can't really put just 2 cameras, you're gonna miss out on the side. So you need at least 3 cameras. What if you also need to see the bottom as well? So there are a lot of different things that you need to consider. And sometimes our approach is to even have have to flip the product in certain ways. We have currently a challenge with durian grading. And as you know, durian grading is extremely challenging. You not only have to know how many segments are there from the durian, you also need to know whether the segment is full or not in order to grade it. So these are commonly the challenges that we have faced when we develop our product. And when it comes to outdoor, there are also manufacturers, or at least certain manufacturers that have outdoor facility where lighting is an issue. So even if you have controlled lighting, you still have to face the challenges of nighttime and stuff like that. So that's a whole design element in it when it comes to the system. And it's not just camera, and it's not just the software. So that's basically the approach that we take. So we have a suite of partners for lighting, for AI vision or machine vision cameras, so all kinds of cameras to tackle, let's say, very fast rotating parts, or very detailed small crack when it comes to maybe micrometer kind of crack. That's also things that we can tackle with the right hardware and with the right AI approach.
All right, thank you, Chi Hao. Moving on to our next questions. What is the typical learning lead time for AI model before value can be delivered? I imagine the success rate will be lower during the initial deployment as the machine learns and improves over time as it gets better. Puneet, would you like to answer this question?
Sorry, Sarah, was that a question for me?
Actually,
Yes,
I think I'll take that question because it's maybe more related to what we do in terms of AI vision. Yes, typically what we do is, let's say with around 10 images or 50 images, you'll be able to train a model maybe around 90 to 95% accurate. And then what we will do is we'll deploy to the environment, and then we will test in real time, because what we do is the accuracy normally is calculated from a batch of a fixed evaluation data set. It may not reflect the actual environment. So once you deploy to the actual environment, maybe you'll find out that the accuracy is much lower. Then you will need to then prepare what are the different edge cases or corner cases that we need to tackle. We will then send more images to the cloud, label them, train, and deploy again. That's why what we focus on, or the key focus for Tapway especially, is how we can shorten the cycle of training and deployment, right? And if you can do it on a 2 daily basis or even up to a weekly basis, this entire cycle can be much faster. And maybe after 3 to 4 cycles, you'll get a model that you think can surpass already what a human label can do in terms of accuracy.
All right, thank you, Chi Hao. Next question, I guess this is for Puneet. How do you address interoperability or compatibility with tapping the myriads of machines, PLCs, and microcontrollers available in the market, ranging from make or model and machine age?
Yeah, that's a very great question. I love somebody actually asked me. I was literally waiting why people are not asking this question, because this is one of the most important and inherited problem in today's world when we talk about connecting the factories or building the smart factory or connected factory solution. Yes, you're 100% correct. Every customer has grown organically, inorganically. So there's no way in this world you can say one customer will only have one kind of PLCs or the other will have other kind of PLCs, and plus market is getting full of these, right? So what we have done is, and I would love Chi Hao also to chime in if he wants to. What we've done is, when we are building these solutions, especially with partners like Tapway, we're kind of considering this as one of the common problems. And the last memory I have, I think I saw about 350 protocols that comes out of these PLCs, which somebody needs to tackle before the data can be sent to the cloud. So we have frameworks available on our website. You could look at, let's say, cloud to machine connectivity or industrial machine connectivity, which you could use to consume. And that gives you clarity on how a middleware sitting in between a PLC or a historian and AWS Cloud can help you translate that protocol. So we've identified those already, certified, tried, tested, compliant, and all those things have been done. And then on top of that, consuming that, Tapway has built a solution, which is the Factory Connect, where they're already doing that for you. You don't need to worry about that complexity of translating the protocols. They just bring in that all package solution to you, take the connectivity into the platform and supply you data on the cloud. So it is a pertinent problem. I'm not saying there is a magic wand to solve, but we have built solutions to help you overcome these interoperability challenges. And like I said, Tapway already has a solution to help you out with.
Yeah, I think I'll just add on to that, right? Because we have seen some example. We have a customer with like 100 machines, and it's ranging from manufactured year of 1990 all the way to 2020, right? So you're talking about 30-year-old machine. How do you tap into that kind of machine, right? So first of all, we have got a middleware that have integrated with hundreds of protocols. So you're talking about either Allen Bradley or Honeywell, GE, and Mitsubishi, all kinds of different brands. They have already integrated. So we are working with a middleware that can connect to the machines. Secondly, is for those machines that the upgrade or adding a PLC is probably way too expensive because it's old. Perhaps it's better just to add secondary sensors. So we also have a sensors partner where we can add certain sensors to track your cycle time, to track your on-off status, so we know your downtime, and we can then integrate with your maintenance schedule to know whether it's planned or unplanned downtime, and really to help you nail down to the details of your OEE and how we can improve or help you reduce the 6 peaks losses, basically.
Yeah, just want to add one last thing. So if you have a problem like this, which you're dealing with, or you perceive you're going to hit this problem once you start building your smart factory connected factory solution, feel free to reach out to us. We will help you deduce that problem or dissect that problem by bringing in the right platforms or solution that, like I said earlier, we've already qualified. And be any kind of PLC, I think we're confident we should be able to bring some solution for you guys.
All right, great. Moving on to the next questions. Are models 100% accurate all the time? With workers, I expect almost similar performance every day, but will it be the same with an AI model? Jiha, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the answer is there is nothing that is 100% accurate, but we strive to be 99% plus. That's our goal. Typically with workers, you expect similar performance, but again, workers, you deal with many different kind of issues like human errors and fatigue and stuff like that. So I think the expectations must be set for AI vision solutions to be around 95 to 99% accuracy. And of course, we will tackle all the different corner cases. The beauty of AI is to tackle corner cases. Sometimes you know that 90% of your defects are this type. What if the 10% is the hardest one? And those are typically the problem that we can tackle with AI by having more examples, creating new classes, applying a different model, adding augmentation. So there's a lot of different techniques that we are using in order to boost the accuracy. Yeah, so we have done projects where sometimes there are very complex problems. This one is not really in manufacturing, but with vehicle classification, there are hundreds of types or thousands of types of vehicles out there that you need to classify. And you have, let's say, tow truck, and you have trucks that are towing another truck, or a car that's towing another truck. There's just tons of different variations there. So we tackle actually step by step. Of course, solve the biggest issue first, and then slowly move the needle up in terms of accuracy towards the march of 99++% basically.
Yeah, Chiho, I want to add one more thing. So while you've given a complete answer, but I want to give a little bit flavor. Even humans can't do 100%. they are prone to errors, right? They can do the same job again and again, but they can miss out. So I would say none of the sites can give you 100%, but they both can evolve and get better with the time. With the machine doing the job, and again, I'm not trying to replace any human here. I'm saying if you want to put more agility, if you want to increase the production, you can add more human, or you can add some machines to support the existing human, and that way you, with the same resources, you can augment your capability. But what I'm trying to explain here is, no matter what you do, go either ways, you never get 100%. You get 99.99999%, but that 0.0001%, the corner case that Chia was saying, can hit you one time or sometime, which is okay. This also means that AI, when they perform, they're performing in the same consistent pattern again and again, which means their performance also will be consistent. So I wouldn't rate any difference over here. Rather, I would say use technology to augment your resource capability. The person who's been doing that job, how can he do more for you? That's what the objective here should be.
All right. Okay. I think we have one question in the chat box. If a factory does not have existing PLCs, how difficult is it to implement AI? Yeah.
So yeah, let me start
Puneet?
first. Maybe Puneet can add on, right? So I think there's two topics today. One is AI vision, and the other one is IoT. In terms of IoT, you don't really necessarily need PLCs again, like I mentioned. If you have it, we can connect to it. If you don't, we can always introduce low-cost secondary sensors to collect data from your machine. In terms of QC automation or AI vision, we can actually design. In fact, for one of our customers, they were 100% human workforce for QC last time. So we designed the entire conveying system with the camera, with the pneumatic puncher, with robotic arm to automate the whole process. So yeah, we don't need actually prior machines or even a conveying belt system in order to get started. So you can start from zero, really.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Chihao. There are many customers that we work with who do not have PLCs. But more importantly, we have also worked with customers who have PLCs like 30, 40 years ago, where no one even knows what language they're written in, what changes can be done, can we extract data. And it's not easy to break those PLC codes and figure out the data. So rather we approach a pseudo sensor layer mechanism where we put sensors on the top, like temperature, humidity, power, and so on and so forth, which can give us as good as data as a PLC, just that we have to build models on it, and we kind of start consuming and building the data together to dissect that situation. But I don't think so. Having a PLC is must to do a AI or a connected factory or a vision solution on that front.
Okay, moving on to another question and answer. A box we do have from Abdul Hasib. Our mostly machines are serial port based. So how would I connect this?
Yeah, I think I can take that question, Sarah. So like I was saying, just in the previous question, right? We work with very, very traditional machines. We work with variety of machines where it comes with many different connectivity, serial or Ethernet or so many that I've not even come across since I left coding and programming. But there are edge gateways. There are IPCs or industrial PCs available that we work with our partners, which has these connectivity mechanisms. That's number one. Number two, once these connectivity mechanisms are made, I think the solution that Tapwe was talking about, or Chiha was talking about earlier in Connected Factory, can very easily jump on top of that and acquire the data for you guys. Even if we need a protocol translator or a middleware, that's also not a problem. We can certainly bring in some of our solutions that we've acquired in terms of partnership, which will translate the data, convert it into the cloud format, throw it in the cloud, and then you can still consume the data to start making decisions. Chihao, anything to add here from your solution, particularly per se?
No, you're spot on. So we do have edge IoT gateways that can connect to various protocols. Yeah. So the standard RS-232, 485 kind of protocols, and also various other protocols as well. So yeah, it is not a limitation. And again, like what you mentioned just now, Puneet, you can also translate this into, convert this into different protocols as well. Or in the end, if that cannot be achieved, again, the secondary sensors will come in very handy. So all in all, it is not physical limitations are not gonna be restricting the deployment of IoT solution.
All right, so moving on, I think we have one last questions. What are limitations of AI vision technology in manufacturing for quality control, and what cannot it detect? So Chi, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, that's a good question. We always say that it's limitless for AI. Of course, there are limitations. The limitations are very similar, like how human perceives, object detection or classification. So sometimes where the line is too blurred between two different classes, that's where we will suffer in terms of classifying it correctly. So again, we have an example. I'll use the vehicle example because I'm deeply involved in that nationwide project. The problem where we are, let's say, charging a tow truck, towing another truck. Basically, supposedly you need to detect this tow truck and the other truck behind as one single class. But the problem is that we are currently sort of labeling each vehicle. So we will be detecting the first class and the second class. And we don't know that it's actually towing the other truck or not, because from the camera angle, you can't really see that little tow bar at the bottom. So that's really the limitation, because if you can't see the tow bar, you can't perceive that it's towing a vehicle. So we can't tell our customer that, hey, you should charge this rate instead of a different rate. This is just one example. So typically, to solve that kind of problem, you need to add more cameras. But when it comes to scaling your solution, it may be a problem, because maybe it costs just 1,000 for the camera or something like that. And then now you need to times 3 and times 100 lines. That could be an issue. Our solution, the project that I told you about, was deployed to more than 600 lanes. 600 cameras. So that is a huge issue in terms of telling customer, hey, I don't think you can work with one camera. You need to add another camera for every lane. So these are typical issues that you may face. Again, there are also limitations where maybe even lighting and positioning of camera can't help. When maybe you want to detect, let's say I'll take the matte and glossy example, because we also dealt with situations like this, where the line between matte and glossy is very, very hard to detect. Sometimes even their QC people are having problems. So they will make their expert judgment really. So this expert judgment can differ from one person to another. And they will say, hey, this is borderline. We'll just treat it as glossy. So that's kind of the issue where you want to sort of use instinct or something else to judge, and this opinion can differ from one person to another. So how we do that is to reset a clear line. What is glossy, what is matte, and what is in between, we'll use our model to tell, right? Maybe it's 0.5% or 50% confident, then we'll say, okay, all right, it's glossy. So we can still tackle this kind of issues with more samples, with different ways of solving it. Yeah. So I hope, this long answer helped to clarify your question. Yeah.
All right, I think that's all of the questions that we have. Let me check again. Oh yeah, we do have, oh no, yeah, we're all done with the questions. So yeah, we would like to thank everyone who has raised the questions. So with all the question answer, I guess it's all for our question and answer sessions. So ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we have come to the end of our webinar sessions. Thank you to everyone who have joined us today. And once again, thank you very much to our speakers, Chi, Punit, and Dr. Chua for sharing their insight and expertise. So before you leave, we hope you can spend about 5 minutes to scan the QR code here, fill our survey questionnaires, and allow us to make further improvement in the future. So if you have any additional questions or would like to connect directly with Tapway, you can email us at sales@gotapway.com or visit us at www.gotapway.com. So with that, thank you for your time. Stay safe and have a wonderful day. See you next time.
Thank you.